So weird. With the
It
quiz,
happens.
no.
It happens.
Wow. When I asked that, she was so happy. I mean, lapho.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The long awaited, but by popular demand, yeah, people are already been calling.
Yeah, yes, abantu
So
bayafuna.
it is the Journey Within podcast with Khwezi. It's been a long time. People have been asking since that whole other drama happened in that other media space. ukuthi, "Sikubona nini, sikubona nini?" So definitely, we made it happen with our brothers, our brethrens, SK Media. Yeah, we'll be sharing the links. I always wanted to do this at the bottom of your screen.
Dreams do come true.
So yeah, it's called the Journey Within podcast with Khwezi, whereby we just unpack and uncover people that you like, people that you follow, people that are inspired by you, or other people that you are inspired by. I'll be trying to get the other side ukuthi, and as much as we're strong now, but what is it that they kind of had to go through for them to be the people that they are today? Yeah, and today, as fate would have it, I have the one and only Fufu, the thick lady. So, boy,
Hi, Khwezi.
Peter.
Yeah,
It's been
Pila.
a while.
I know. Like, it's been a
It
while.
feels like forever, man.
I know, hey.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm good. I feel nervous.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not used to being on the other side of the mic.
It's just me, man.
Especially
It's just
with
me.
you.
Yeah. And I think if it was me interviewing me, I'd be nervous.
Oh,
well.
wow.
So, ungaphatheki kabi.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Fufu, mid-morning essentials. I just have to start with that,
You know,
man.
start there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
say when I came across it, because you never like formally told me
Yeah.
okay, that's what you wanted to do. But when I saw you doing it, like for me, it was I was just beaming with pride. First things first, I just want to say congratulations on that, and shout out to you for just doing it, man. Like you don't know how excited I got when I saw it. I'm like,
You.
this is like really dope. You know? But for people that don't know, what is it about? Like mid-morning essentials, like how ihamba kanjani?
Mid-morning essential is my new baby.
Yes.
Yeah, it happens weekday,
Yeah.
Monday to Friday, 9 to 12 o'clock on TikTok. And it's a show.
So it's like live on TikTok.
Yeah, it's live on TikTok
Yeah.
from 9 to 12 o'clock, Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
So, guys, I used to work at that other media place, you know.
We'll
and-
get
yeah,
to
we'll
that.
get
in
to
a
that.
bit. Yeah.
And I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Like, it's the passion for me more than anything. And then when I stopped, I think my life came
Yeah.
at a standstill. I was like, okay, so what am I going to do? I saw myself going back and rescuffling
Yeah.
my computer, getting my CV and applying. And it dawned on me, no, but this is not me.
Yeah.
Right? If I were to go back to a full-time job at 9 to 5, like I would really be depressed and
Yeah.
unhappy.
And this is not like shading and 9 to 5.
No.
But then once you move out of that
Yeah.
space and you get into other things, because I'm also talking from experience as
Yeah.
well, which it just gets that bit more difficult
It
to like
does.
imagine yourself
It really
so
does.
weird
Yeah.
committed to such.
It really does, and I just didn't want to see myself. Well, obviously, I wanted to go back because
Yeah.
of finances,
Yeah,
ngengane,
debit orders.
your debit orders and
Yeah.
everything, you know, and I had to continue
Yeah.
living my life.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, man, happiness is more important to me than anything. So I decided, going live on TikTok is what I used to do when I was on radio.
Yeah, I remember.
In the morning.
Yeah.
So I'd also built a following on TikTok. So when I went back and I went live the other day on TikTok and I'm like, guys, I'm no longer working. I quit my job.
Yeah.
And as sad as they were like, but you can continue doing this in the comfort of your own home. You know
Yeah.
that. I'm like, no, guys, you guys are silly. Like, I need a lot
So
of things.
how did the idea come about? Was it just you waking up one day or
Yeah,
like
it
people,
was. I had
how
my
do you-
cousin. This
yeah.
is Umbal Ndab, my cousin. She's
Yeah.
always said to me, I think you are selling yourself short. Like you should be on social media.
Yeah.
But because I'm also, and people don't understand, it's like I'm very shy. Ne?
Yeah.
And social media, ngiyayithanda mara ngiyithanda isisi
Yeah,
kahle,
yeah.
you know. So she always said to me, be on social media, man. Be consistent with social media. And even when I started being live then, she suggested, like, go live on TikTok and see how it goes. Just grow your following.
Yeah.
And then she was at home, and then she was like, I was like, magic I'm no longer working. She was like, no,
Yeah.
continue this thing and be live. But you know me, when someone says something at that time, you don't take
Oh,
it to heart.
ithathele
Yeah,
kind
you're
of.
like, I manumba routine.
Yeah.
So I kept on thinking about it, and then at the same time, Khwezi, I was very depressed, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I
I was-
remember you were like in a like really, really
Yeah, I was in a really dark
spot,
space
yeah,
at
yeah.
that time. So even just waking up was an issue.
Yeah.
But I at some point I decided to snap out of it. And when I finally did snap out of my dark space, I took my phone and I went live and I explained to people, Guti, guys, this is why I haven't been live. I quit my job, angazi ngenzeni. And the very same people on TikTok, they were like,
How
continue,
not-
man, this
Yeah,
thing.
you've been here. And
And I remember someone saying, but do you have a laptop? I was like, yeah, I do have a laptop. Do you have a speaker? Like,
Yeah.
yes. Manje, dlala umculo ukhulume mos. And
Yeah.
that's how Mid-Morning Essential started. And then while I was on that live, people on TikTok were also brainstorming Guti, what should happen next. Obviously, you need the name of the show.
Yeah.
I asked if should I continue with 9 to 12.
Yeah.
They were like, no, we're okay with that spot or slot. And I was like, okay, guys, I'm going to need a mic. I'm going to need an interface. I'm going to need, and they were like, we got you.
Don't worry.
We got you.
So like it's people that were listening to you
yes.
that actually helped you put
Yes,
this whole thing
they
together.
did. They really did. Even the
SK,
name.
I told you to get that poo 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 thing. You know,
The triple A horn.
could we just poo 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 right now? So, because that's really dope,
Yeah,
man.
so even the name,
Yeah.
I remember there was a guy I follow on TikTok, KGDP, he's a DJ. He
Yeah.
was like, no, but Mid-Morning Essential sounds
know.
great.
That
And I
was
was like,
dope.
actually,
Yeah,
you know,
it just
they were
fits.
like Mid-Morning Essential with Fufu the Thick Lady. I'm like,
Yeah,
actually, man.
it's the one.
You know, and then I
Yeah.
had another one's like, okay, because you are sitting behind Idi Nekaya, I'll
Yeah.
hook you up with a backdrop. And next thing I know, Khwezi person saying, send your address, backdrop was delivered at Kaya.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, my cousin Umbali sent speakers and an interface.
Yeah.
So beklangana nje, week by week, I would
Yeah.
receive something different and something new. And I guess that's how it started. We battled a bit with the connection.
Yeah.
Obviously, being a presenter, I don't know anything about technical.
Plus you're starting something new.
Yeah, I'm really starting something new. I'm not too sure,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, and then I started, and I remember because I'm buying each. Umuntu othi thenga cable liso, ngihambe ngiyothenga cable linje.
Yeah.
Go buy this cable, but Khwezi,
To connect that.
bruh,
Yeah.
like I didn't even know that cables had a female and a male.
Yeah.
Like I had to learn
Yeah,
everything.
The one with the hole is the
Dude.
the one with the
Dude, like it was such a stress. And I remember this one time when people said, no, you need an iRig, you need a jack cable. And I got all those things. And then
Yeah.
when I connected, there was no audio. And I got frustrated. I went on a live. I think this was 2 days ngingai live.
Yeah.
And I went on the third day and I literally got emotional on the live. And I'm like, guys, I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
I've bought all of these things, or rather, you guys have bought all of these things for me, but it's not working. What do I need to do? And I had another guy, Scoopy Music, whom I follow as well, and Troy were like, they called me after and it's like, why are you crying? I'm like, this is no, don't worry, we'll sort out the situation.
Ukhalelani.
Yeah, like, ukhalelani, come on. And then Scoopy
Yeah.
actually said, dude, I had to change like 5 cables before I went live,
You
you
figure
know?
it out.
So yeah, we finally got the correct cable, and immediately when I connected, then you started hearing music. You
Yeah.
started hearing me speaking from the mic,
It sounded like magic.
and then there was light.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
that sense of belonging, and that's
Yeah.
how Mid-Morning Essential started.
But I think maybe just expanding more over and above being a presenter, you now have that bit of experience when it comes to Indabazi sound. Perhaps
Yeah.
something to look at as well. Uti, focus on
Yeah,
how
yeah.
sound works. Yeah, because
Yeah.
you'll be working with it for a very
For
long
a very
time.
long time.
And perhaps there will be times whereby you are dependent on yourself. But
Definitely.
maybe just something to think about.
Definitely. I'm really considering it
Yeah.
because fana nento yokuba DJ.
Yeah.
I've been running away from it. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, I remember.
Right?
Yeah.
A whole lot of people said, Fufu, but why are you not becoming a DJ? I'm like,
Yeah.
guys, I'm really not passionate about it, but it's
Yeah.
literally moving
It's
me
going to
towards
that
that
direction.
direction
Yeah.
because I'll be on a live doing the show and a person will be like, you play
Yeah.
such great music. Can I book you for a gig? I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
not a DJ yet. And people are like, but why are you not doing
Yeah.
it? So it's in the pipeline.
But
Definitely in the pipeline.
I also think ukuthi, it also just speaks to what you have within yourself as umuntu. Yeah, because when I left Radio Lang, I thought it was like, no, that was just it.
Yeah.
Because I think you know better than most, which I have like 1,000,001 other things that I'm
That you're
doing as
doing,
well.
yeah.
So I was like, that was just a little blip on my journey and I'm done with it. Awuzwanga abantu bangihlupha kangaka. Like you'd see someone down uthi, yeah, ndoda ngisakuzwa, uyabona.
Yeah.
Ndoda ngisakuzwa. And you're like, no, I'm no longer there. And then it gradually gravitates towards uthi, endle kwayo ngana podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, like podcast. Okay. Yeah. SK. Ay, maraman. Ngibhizi. Yeah. But then eventually I find myself here. Yeah.
And I'm so
So
happy
it
for
also just speaks to your journey as well.
Yeah.
Like being a podcaster, uthi, it's how you made people feel, and that is why you kind of were able to carry. I wouldn't say friends, those friends that you created on air, even when you leave whichever radio station, but then you have that connection now, to love. And yeah, man, I hope you just grow leaps and bounds.
Thank you. And it's funny, I think we're 3 months into it right now, and I didn't even think it would have this kind of impact that it has right now. I have people who I didn't even know. Ngihlangana noMusisi, by the way, it dropped in the other day.
Yeah.
Tobile.
Shout out to Toby.
Tobile is like, Fufu, yazi manje uzongixabanisa nomphathi wami ngisakhona ukusebenza ngila every day. I'm like, really? Listen, I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I really do love your show. So that kind of feedback is really heartwarming for me, and it just makes me want to continue to do more things.
Maybe to take you back a bit, you mentioned something about depression before you took the step of going into Midmorning Essentials. I've grown to learn ukuthi depression has a lot of faces. I still have my own reservations around that.
About it.
Being a learning person, I got to learn what it has a lot of faces. But what did it look like for you? Was it you not wanting to eat, or you just not wanting to talk to anyone, or
It was that.
Because maybe somebody might be going through the very same thing and they don't really understand.
It was that with me. I think futhi iyang bamba early Khwezi when we stopped getting paid at Adulang. And for me, that was a huge deal. Yeah. Because I wasn't even staying at home. I had my own apartment flat. Yeah. I have a child,
And in Radio Lang, I pulled you from a full-time job.
Yeah, from a full-time job, you understand? Yeah. So, I'd had to recenter my entire life with Radio Lang, of which it worked, right? It's just that 3 years down the line and then it stopped. A lot happened, Immediately when I stopped getting paid, Khwezi, my whole life just came to a halt. I couldn't pay rent. I couldn't pay my daughter's school fees anymore. I couldn't maintain my life.
So uyacabanga ukuthi mawuvuka zonke le nkinga zivuka nawe.
Ziningi, I'm really, and in the meantime, because we've been going through a whole lot of things at Radio Langa, so I had thought, man, this is just a phase. Uzohamba kube right. Now it's July. Yeah. And no. What is happening? And I'm one person who's just always optimistic about life, and I'm always giving people advice about life all the time. And it was about right. Yeah. And in that space, I needed a lot of people.
Because you made me stay longer than I actually wanted to do.
You wanted to tap out, and I was the one who's like, hey, whoa. We've been through this before, Yeah. And when I saw the rest of you guys tapping out, and I stayed because, one, now I'm hopeful Guti will get the ship will finally sail. Again. Yeah. Two, I need to make ends meet. So I was hopeful Guti. Now with the rest of you guys gone, maybe sinesele le mali nekhona izokhona ukuthi ikwazi ukuthi nathi sikholele ngoba sesibancane manje. So I stayed and I
sicela phone
yakhe ke yazi ubuza thina
so camera wethu.
So I stayed with the whole lot of things ukuthi nje I'm thinking kuzokhanya, but Khwezi at that time my whole world came crumbling down on me, right? Mind you, I'd left home. Now I'm thinking I need to go back home. Nothing is working at that time. I'm not okay personally. I'm just tired of life, and right now at that time I just needed someone who kept on saying kuzoba right,
Kuzoba
man.
sharp.
But because my circle,
Yeah.
nonke, everyone,
Your
even the person I'm in the
backbone.
relationship with at that time,
Yeah.
like ziyasikhalela sonke,
Yeah,
I'm
no.
not getting that it's going to be okay.
You can't lean on.
Yeah, I
on
can't
anything.
lean on anything
Yeah.
at that time. And I made a conscious decision this one time. I remember July, I was like, I need to go back home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to, but I was like, I need to go back home. I can't live like this. I can't go on ends meet every single month trying to hustle just to make rent.
Yeah.
Not talking about petrol, not talking about groceries, not talking about everything, just the rent.
Yeah.
So I couldn't go through that.
And what were some of your concerns with moving back home? Because I believe, yes, it was a decision that
Yeah.
you took, but there were other things going back at the back of your mind. Ish, yeah.
Me
Ish,
with
yeah.
okay, not entirely ukuthi bekuzoba nalento ukuthi abantu bazothina. I really didn't care about that.
Yeah.
But to me, Khwezi, it was like I've worked so hard
Yeah,
to
to get
build
to where
my
you were.
life, to get to
Yeah.
where I was at, and I was really proud of myself with everything that I have achieved in a small space of
Yeah.
time. Having to just give everything up, having to give up my place, that was my sanctuary.
Yeah, ne,
You know,
your space. and it.
yeah, my space, and having to
Yeah.
go back home. So, but ngaphinde ngathi ekhaya bebangixoshanga, you know.
100%.
And one thing I love about my parents is that as down as I was or I am, you'll
Yeah.
never hear them say I told you so.
Mm.
They'll always be like, "Oh, okay, you're back in Manje.
Yeah.
You know what needs to be done." So at that space, yeah, I just needed to go back home, and I eventually did. And I
Yeah.
remember because I think I got home I moved out around end of July, and when I got home, I think I was in depression mode for entire August. Angazi
ne.
ngikhale kangaka in my life. Like I
Aish.
think I cried
Yeah.
the entire month, and that was going to bed crying, wake
Yeah.
up crying, eat. I bengidla ke shem
Yeah.
because I was
Yeah,
not
those are
I was
good.
not about to starve myself, but nje, I had no purpose.
Yeah.
You know, I shut out the entire world, and I just wanted to be with myself and think ukuthi, more not even to think, but I just wanted to embrace what I was going through
Yeah.
at that time. And then at a later stage, like at the end of August, I realized ukuthi, I'm sitting in this dark space.
Yeah.
I'm allowing myself to sit in this dark space. And now everything has changed in my life. Even algorithm on my phone. I'd wake
Yeah.
up, go to Instagram, it will talk about depression, anxiety, and
You're
I'm
not
like,
seeing like pretty
yeah,
cats or something like to
no.
uplift your spirit.
nothing. Because
Yeah.
I was paying attention to what these things were saying on social media. Now it became an algorithm.
Yeah,
Because every
yeah.
single day I'd
It
wake
speaks
up
to
to a
you,
quote where it says,
Yeah.
you know,
You're
life
gonna
and
die.
you're gonna die
Yeah.
and you
kidding.
know. And I realized, no man, I'm in this dark space because I'm
Yeah.
allowing myself to be in this dark space.
100%.
So one day I decided that get up, let's take a bath.
Yeah.
And I got up,
What
took a
what
bath.
what was that process? Was it just you like in the middle of the night deciding?
No. I woke up, and it was also because at that time, what was also difficult is that now my parents are retired and now they moving provinces.
Yeah,
ne?
yeah. That
So
too.
my
Yeah.
mom had already left.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that hit me is that I'm back home and my mom's not
and
and my mom's not even here.
Yeah,
You know,
Ash.
that one person who I resonate with, who I need Utando like right now is,
Yeah.
and as much as she would call and check up, it was just not the same.
Yeah.
I needed her to be here. I needed her to just barge into my room and be like, "Ngokwenze ukudla."
Vuga
And,
or something like that.
And so my dad was also serving his notice.
Yeah.
So now he didn't have time to sit with my mess. He was just excited that he was just,
Yeah.
live in a different province. But it also hurt me when I heard him say, you do realize that you don't do anything but eat and sleep. And
Even
I
at
kinda-
Khwezi, for
yeah,
you.
yeah, and I kind of saw the hurt in his
Uqamti
eyes.
kadla ulale.
And I kind of saw
Yeah,
the hurt in his
yeah,
eyes,
yeah,
as
I
much
can
as he didn't
imagine,
want to,
Yeah.
hurt me because he can see that I'm going through it.
But naye as the time
yeah,
after
it
that,
wasn't
in
nice.
that space.
It wasn't
yeah.
nice to have to see him go through,
Yeah.
all of that. So when he was actually a week, he was going to leave for KZN. One day I just woke up and I was like, okay, no, we're snapping out
Let's
of
go.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mind you, my daughter was doing her grade 10.
Yeah.
So she had to finish her grade
Yeah.
before she eventually moves
Move
with
to
my parents.
KZN.
So
yeah.
I have the 16-year-old who's just going through a lot of things, and I'm
Yeah.
going through a lot of things. So I just had to say, no, man, she needs you right now.
Yeah.
Both your parents are not here anymore. You are now back home. Be a parent.
And when you now on TikTok and you see one listener live, like take me back to that feeling, like this thing is happening now, and how you feel. Because I vividly remember the very first day I was on
Yeah,
air
when you got on.
and someone called. I'm like, yeah, ulalele mina.
Yeah.
That feeling never leaves you, man. Like, how did it feel coming from that kind of space you were coming from?
It was amazing. And mind you, Khwezi, because Midmorning Essential has started in November.
Yeah.
Right? Then, in November, when it started, I hadn't had all the things that I have now. And then I got into another depression mode in December
Yeah.
again, you know. So, I miss foot
Yeah.
to go through whatever I was going through. And then I remember my cousin said, when you are done with this again, because I
Yeah.
don't know why you're going back into the situation, but when you are done,
Because like it's so sensitive.
yeah,
to
like
see
you
that,
started this thing and now I
Yeah.
don't know what happened.
Yeah.
And when you are done with it, please go back to the show.
Yes.
And I decided, and I was like, no, I'm going back. And when I
Yeah.
did for the very first time, having to see 30 people on
Because
the
now
live.
you're posting 1,100.
Yeah,
That's right. All right. Yeah. Qimukezi.
Low shedding,
Yeah,
I can't
but
believe
for
we're
two-
back there again. Hey?
Sacela ni support man. Sithenga ugesi.
Oh, yes, nami ngiyazama ukuthi low
Eh,
shedding.
sizela amaqiniso la. But anyway, man, Mid-Morning Essentials, you had like your first 30 listeners slash viewers. How is it different or more fun or like how are the dynamics between like radio, how we did radio and how we do it now? Because I kumbuka, like I was asking you earlier, Guti, are you a bigger person than I am? Like njengoba nginokuphaphanyana, so but just to chill there and I know people are looking at me.
It's not
Yeah,
easy.
it's daunting.
It's not easy. And I
Yeah.
actually said it to my producers. Ngasho ngathi, guys, it's so difficult because I need to account for every emotion.
Yeah.
You know, and emotions don't lie,
Yeah.
or body language.
Whereas on the
rather.
other end, bese ifihla.
Yeah,
like
you know,
sound
I would
emotional.
cry.
mara-
They're saying it's okay, music yaphela,
Yeah.
siyalinka, siyangena, this is for the thick lady. It's 10 minutes
Yeah,
after 10.
yeah.
But with that, you know, even when I'm emotional, that day I need to hide it because I'm on camera.
Yeah.
So that's very difficult. That I need to account
'Cause
for the
backbone
body
of it,
language.
and-
I need to account for the emotion, and
Yeah.
it's so difficult to just be in one space and look at yourself. I'm
Yeah.
looking at myself, Pela Lapayana, and you know, yeah, I have to do a show for in 3 hours. It's
Yeah.
difficult. I'm learning it, but I am enjoying it. And
Yeah.
the reason why I'm enjoying it is because the interaction is instant.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not like radio where I need to
Maybe
wait for
the
your voice
WhatsApp
notes and
and-
your
yeah.
calls. So the interaction is instant right
Like
there.
live,
Like
man.
live. So I
Yeah.
get to read out what you're saying right now and you can request and we
Yeah.
get to, you know, speak.
But you never read my comment though.
Oh, what do you
When I
mean?
was on there.
What comment was that?
You have your own people.
Ah,
Speed or
Khwezi.
2K.
I remember when you I remember when you came in, I was so excited. I couldn't contain my excitement. I was like, Khwezi's here.
Yeah. You did mention that you're a mother to a teenager.
Yeah.
I want to get to this point of what's your understanding of someone when they say they're a single mother? Is it that you are a mother and you are single? Or is that you are a mother and you're just taking care of your child who you want? Or ganjan?
Yeah. It's,
And I'll tell you why I'm
Yeah.
asking this question. Because I couldn't understand it from a personal perspective
Yeah.
as well. Uti. Umchita is there doing all these things for the child and the lady is like,
I'm a
she's
single
a single
mom,
mother.
yes.
Like I couldn't understand that dynamic.
so a single mother, Khwezi,
Yeah.
umuntu ofana nami.
Okay.
Umuntu who's raising a child
Yeah.
without the father. Tanu's dad passed
For
away.
whatever reason.
Yes, for whatever reason. Tanu's
Yeah.
dad passed away. It could be Uguti, even at birth, you didn't want to be a part of the child's life.
Yeah.
That it could, you know,
So I saw
amount
what
to.
you are singing
I
in terms of
singing ngoba
relationship.
says asekho ku relationship. As for a mother, it's because maybe I'm still built at the fact that
Yeah.
mina now asekho right.
Yeah.
But if you are still a part of the child and we are supporting then
Yeah.
I don't know whether maybe we should, you know, fix that
But
mantra
that's
of
why
single.
that's why I'm asking because I couldn't understand like the wording around it now. Guti, like, how do you mean? Like, do you mean what you, ngoba unamuntu, like, you don't have anyone in your
Yeah,
life?
maybe that's
yeah.
something we really need to look into as
Yeah.
abantu besifazane ukuthi when we mean
Or maybe let us
single.
know as well. Go
Yes.
comment section.
What do you mean when you
Yeah.
say single? Because mina ngisho I am single because
And
I,
kuyazwakala the way you're explaining it.
ubaba wengane
Yeah.
passed on, you know. And I don't know whether if he's still alive now, would I still say I'm single? I probably wouldn't, but I would rather use the word co-parenting.
But probably would depend on how
even
he
if
shows up for the child.
yes,
though.
even
Yeah.
if let's say even if we are not in okay terms, but he's there for the child.
Yeah.
It's still I would still use the word co-parenting, and I think maybe
Yeah.
we should resort to that term, unless mangabege when as a father you are not
You're not showing up.
co-parenting.
Yeah. No, because for me that's kind of my
yeah.
grudge type of thing. For me, it sounds like uti wena, you are alone
Yeah,
in
happy
this
Father's
child's
Day
life,
to
and
me, and you're still alive.
how do you
Yeah, it does make sense to me
Yeah,
as well.
well, and what would you say are some of the biggest challenges? Because I'm a big advocate of having a girl child being as close as they can be, no mamabo.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel ukuthi i-role kababa emntwaneni wentombazane can never be underestimated.
Yeah, you can't.
Yabo.
And
So
it's
what would you
important.
say when have been some of the challenges since ushilo ukuthi it was unfortunate ukuthi kwenzeka ngendlela okwenzeka ngayo
It's-
and
Yeah, one of the biggest challenges that when she stepped into the teenage phase,
yeah
it's where I needed him the most, right?
kanjani so
Where I'll be able to call him and say, I'm going through this. And I maybe have a conversation with your daughter when it comes to these certain things. It could be peer pressure, dating, all of these things that, teenagers are going through at this time.
yeah
I think I needed him to just play a father figure, not just financially, but, emotional support and just be there physically. I'm not going to be able to pick her up. Are you going to be able to pick her up from school? Are you going to be able to attend sports choir and an end?
to kind of share the load.
Yes, to share the load.
Yeah.
And for me, because when he passed on, we had like a great co-parenting relationship, even though being in a relationship.
Yeah.
Even going on to something
Yeah.
was just something that was just normal and okay, with me. Guti.
So bekunokuhloniphana
Yeah,
kakhulu
look,
vele in what you were
we
doing.
drew boundaries
Yeah.
and, we were okay. We became actually, I've always never understood how people would get divorced and say, but now we are literally the best of friends.
Yeah.
I got to experience it.
You got to understand
And
it.
I got to understand. Guti.
Hey, I don't share this.
It's gonna get there, Khwezi. It's gonna get there,
No,
but
no,
it starts with us women,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's us women who don't want to create that space because
Yeah.
sihlukene. Mina ngithatha ngokuthi ungishiye nomntwana, right? And prior to us having a child, we had plans, right? We used to speak about having kids and an end,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's saddening at the fact that
Because at some
now-
point we were like
Yeah,
madly in love with each other.
true,
It is,
so maybe
yeah.
it doesn't sit well with us abantu besifazane having to watch ubaba umntanakho not be a part of your life
Yeah.
sekunengane. So maybe we would say ukuthi kwabantu besifazane it hurts.
Yeah.
And until you are at that point when umuntu besifazane and say
So
we
what
are no longer
hurts?
together.
What hurts is you knowing how good of a man I can be. In as much as everybody has their own vices,
Yeah.
but you can't experience that with me anymore. Or what hurts exactly?
is that when we brought this person into the world, you were
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Whatever situation or whatever happened,
Yeah.
I
We were
understand-
fully cognizant
Yes, I
ukuthi-
understand
yeah.
ukuthi manje why lo muntu sekakhona emhlabeni and why you and I can't find common ground.
Yeah.
Not only for the child but for just us
It's-
as
yeah, no.
abazali and as people who were very once
Yeah.
madly in love with each other. So I think I also understand where women come from.
Yeah.
When it comes to angifuna ukumbona,
Yeah.
usuke nje
I
ngokuthathe
know.
ngokuthi ungishiye nomntwana.
Yeah.
Now I am a single mother
Yeah.
because now you didn't live up to my expectations.
Oh.
And mind you, these are my expectations.
No, ngiyakuthola. But at some point angithi in as mad as you are, like I'm no longer there.
Yeah.
But we kind of need to
You-
come
you-
to our senses and say,
definitely.
yazin, yabo.
And I'm speaking this from experience because
Ngikwatele,
I
but
was
yabo.
once that person.
Yeah.
Nami, where I'm like, dude, you got me pregnant at 19. How are you
Yeah.
just moving on with your life and
Yeah,
mina
you
ngihleli-
leaving me like this.
Yeah, mangolumsino ngomntwana every
Yeah.
single day of my life. But I had to decide ukuthi this is unhealthy for one, the child.
Yeah.
Ne? And it's also unhealthy for us because we can't even have a proper conversation about lumtwana without, fighting, without me. Like, yeah, vele ukhohlakele, angithi wangishiya,
Yeah.
So I had to sit down and you had to forgive. And
Yeah.
sometimes, because it's very important ukuthi uxolele umuntu ungazange umthole sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aish.
Because it
And umbona ukuthi
yeah,
akazisoli
and
futhi
akasoli,
nakhona.
and remember ishaya wena.
Yeah.
Ne? You are now living with this grudge.
Yeah.
I'm hating Khwezi because
Yeah, no, they are living their
they're
best
living
lives.
their best lives. It's all now,
Yeah.
and then it ends up, this person ends up ruling your life.
Aish.
Because the minute angena nje uyanxapha, the minute
Mood
angena,
yakhe
your
ishintshile
mood
vele.
changes, your
Yeah.
attitude changes, because this person
And
is
angithi
controlling
basho
your life.
bathini? But he who angers you controls you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we
Yes,
need to do
I
away with
asked
that.
for a signal from this guy, and I'm not seeing any signals there.
It's the first podcast, guys. Bear with us. We'll get used to
Yeah,
this.
Now I get you. I heard you mentioning Nakora Uti. You heard your beautiful daughter when you were 19. Challenges being like pregnant at that age.
Yo.
I'm sure in Kulumo.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And
You were done with school though.
I was in matric.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was literally writing my last term exams.
Oh, okay.
So luckily
Ma, you were not like up in class with
I was.
your tummy. And,
I was.
Yeah.
I was.
Because I remember when we were like in standard 7. I won't mention her name, but I got to learn which very nyalala when you have,
No, there was none of that. There was
Oh,
none of that with me. Or
you
I
had
can't
like the more
remember.
modernized version.
I was like, I'm in a situation and I'm not gonna hide it.
Yeah.
Sending a kulum, but
Yeah,
it's like that. I was
Yeah.
also kind of a little stubborn at that time,
Yeah.
But it's the community
Yeah.
were thinking I could never amount to being anything. My parents
Yeah.
were livid.
But now besides the judgmental stuff, like what led you as a teenager to be caught in that? Was it maybe you?
No, it
or something
wasn't.
Like that?
And I'm happy you asked that
Yeah.
question because when we hear
Yeah.
of people who got pregnant at their teens, that's the first thing we think about.
Yeah,
Ukuthi,
so,
bekathanda into
yeah,
zabantu abadala. And mina, I remember no one in my space ever asked me whether I consented.
Yeah.
Akekho ke wangibuza. And mind you, I was dating a man who was 7 years my senior and I was 19.
Yeah.
I still feel I was taken advantage of, Khwezi, because umdala and I'm
Yeah.
19. You could have.
Because that's why we throw them
Yeah,
in jail. Because
no.
no mungati, you consented with like a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
You are older, like you know better. You
Yeah,
should have guided
and
the
mina
child.
kwathathwa ngokuthi ngimdala ngina 19. Guys, like, what do I know
Yeah.
about relationships and sex at
No,
19?
we must look at that
Yes,
age
and the
thing.
only thing I ever knew was maybe having sexual intercourse with this person is my
Yeah.
way of showing this person that I love them,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's how I
And
reciprocated
to a certain
it.
extent, and you didn't want them to leave you.
Exactly.
So if
'cause
they would make requests
I'm
of
in
you,
my teens,
Yeah.
and I really don't know what love is,
Yeah.
but I never was a promiscuous person.
Yeah.
I never was umuntu uthanda izinto. My
Yeah.
parents were strict. My dad was really
Yeah.
strict, and this is why it was so shocking, even for umphakathi ukuthi
Ukuthi njani
wena
manje?
upheke kanjani
Yeah.
ubaba ukha strict kanjena, So I still
Yeah.
believe ukuthi even with that being said, no one ever asked me whether I consented. Mind you, not.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was taken advantage of because
Yeah.
I'm in my teen. You a guy who's in your senior, you should
Like
know
26,
better.
27.
You should know
Yeah.
better. At
Babo.
least use protection. At
Yeah.
least dige ngisekliniki ungiphuzise ke
Qinela
lamaphilisi.
umntwana. Yeah.
So like uyanqinela
Eish.
enomdala ziphi intanga zakho,
Eish.
And I think it really messed with me for the first 6 years of my child's life.
Yeah.
But up until I actually sat him down and I said, this is exactly how I feel about you right now.
Yeah.
I love that he apologized and he said he didn't understand that that's what I was going through
Yeah.
at that time. He just felt like,
Because I feel that's also important.
Yeah.
Like telling people exactly how they made us feel. Also just going back to apologize.
yeah. Because it's that stigma that carries you, Khwezi. Namanje, you'll get someone like, how kuna 19?
Yeah, that's why I need to
never the
I wanna-
case.
yeah.
It's never the case. So, me, I understand. And granted, I don't condone teenage pregnancy. But when it does happen, your life
Yeah.
doesn't really need to end.
Going back to your early years.
Yeah.
Like how was Fufu like as a child? Like when you remember yourself, maybe like say like it's like from I think from like 8 or 9
8.
is when you are kind of aware with balls home done.
Man, one thing I know is that I just grew up in a family of love. My
Yeah.
parents are still married till today, and I
Yeah.
think that's one thing that I appreciate. Ukuthi, I
Yeah.
grew up no mama no baba.
That
you
was
know?
supposed to be a poo poo poo. But
Oh my word! Esther, you need to get the triple A one, otherwise
I
you'll
told
never hear
him.
the
I
end of
told
it.
him very, very early.
So yeah, ngikhule no mama no baba, home of love. Of course, it had its challenges, but I was a fun, bubbly
Yeah.
young kid who struggled with weight.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was body shamed
Yeah.
for the younger
Bebathi
part of my
usidudla.
life. Bebathi ngisidudla Khwezi, ene ngisidudla vele
Yeah.
ayikho into bebazoyishintsha, and I remember growing up at somewhat not.
Sorry now. Did your parents do anything about that? Was it like an issue?
No, it wasn't an
Oh,
issue, but
yeah.
with
Because there
it,
might be like other parents who have kids
no.
in school. Like one thing I know, and that's one thing I taught my daughters very, very early in life. Uguti, school kids are brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you have to have thick
It's
skin,
not
like.
with me. It wasn't even the
Yeah.
school kids that were brutal, because even when grade 1,
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
I've always been
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But it would be when you hear from your mom, extended
Okay.
family members, why you khuphala? Uyaphi?
Yeah.
And my dad was that one person. I
Yeah.
think Ngufufu the thick lady namhlanje built that confidence because my dad was that one person who always told me that you are beautiful and I love you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one comment I got from him, like, shut out everything that everyone was saying. So I just took what my dad saw and I ran with it. And after that, I think I didn't even struggle with it anymore.
Yeah.
I was now happy. And because I was so confident in embracing my
Once you
weight.
embrace it, then
Yeah,
there's
now
nothing
everyone
to
was like,
take you
who's
with
that?
it.
You
Yeah.
know? And so, yeah, I
Yeah.
embraced it. But I remember being in my childhood, that's one thing I struggled with was my, was my weight.
Yeah.
Ngingadlingani nabanye abantwana. And I loved sports. Like, I
Yeah.
wanted to be, like, I used to play shot put, I used to play netball.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to partake in 100 meters,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I couldn't because
Yeah.
I couldn't because of my weight,
No, I
you
get
know.
you.
So yeah, but I quickly snapped out of it. It's not something
Yeah.
that that I was depressed about, or maybe I struggled with my childhood. No.
So there's parents out there with kids facing the very same. I don't even want to call it stigma, because
Yeah.
I mean, when a child is,
Yeah, you
yeah,
are.
it's
You
just a
find
child,
ukuthi
yeah.
kunomntwana
Then
one
how do you deal with
on
it,
a
or
routine.
how would you advise them now? Now it's so cool,
Man, just
and looking at how
it's
you manage
it's
to overcome
important.
it.
What you say to your kids, quiz.
Yeah.
It's very important. Like the tongue is a very sharp tool.
Yeah.
It's very important. And if you can see that they're a little overweight, they'll
Yeah.
grow out of it. Kids
know.
grow out of it. Like, no more primary. This
Yeah.
person's gonna go to high school. They're gonna partake
And
in
people
sports.
transform.
Yeah,
like if I can
bruh.
show you like how thin I was, like
You could have fooled me.
amadolo aphumile ikhanda ligaga.
Yeah.
Like I was just thin. But as you grow older,
It changes.
you just go through all these
It
changes.
and I just feel like let's just love your kids unconditionally the way that they are.
Yeah.
Get to understand umntwana wakho ukuthi ubani,
Yeah.
and besides the weight
Mm,
or how they look or the
as an
physical.
individual,
Yeah, as an
yeah.
individual,
Yeah.
understand that this is your child and this is what
And
my child is interested in and
And
what
and
they
they're
love.
still in a journey of discovering who they
Themselves.
are. I mean, now umdala, so you still haven't like fully. Like my belief of what is was as if having not fully understood exactly who you are.
And I was actually joking with my mom the other day. My mom is that one person who was like, "Oh, cool pale." I'm like, girl,
Yeah.
if you remember how you looked like 10 years ago, you would not be saying this. Because now, I get some
Yeah.
with diabetic and all of that. You know,
Yeah.
she's now a little
Yeah.
slimmer. But hey, my mom
Yeah.
was like a
But,
chubby.
that's rich.
It's like, yeah,
Coming
let
from
her
you.
kusasho, you know. I actually, whoa. You know? So yeah, but it's our parents. Like,
Yeah.
let's me. Sometimes I just didn't take a harsh criticism. I'm just
know.
that person. I
Yeah.
don't take harsh
Harsh
criticism
criticism,
into hate. No.
And then going to your parents. But my principal, were they both,
Yeah, they were both
of them
educators,
principals?
and
Yeah.
then they eventually became principals. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's dope, man.
Yeah.
And,
Wasn't
and,
easy.
and how did you end up not being tisharewe LO
Oh, and let me tell you.
izinyoni ezimbili.
Yes, njengoba ngisho ukuthi abazali bayabazi abantwana babo,
Yeah.
ne? My dad obviously would, I think at a later stage in my life when ngingahambi kahle ngemsebenzi, he would bring me like what's those papers where you fill in application forms
Yeah.
to fill in for a school clerk and an end.
Yeah.
And look at this guy, I'm like, man, this one is angitatsiras,
Yeah.
you know, because I really don't want this.
Yeah.
But because he's my father, he wanted a stable, you know, stability for me.
He
Stable
understood
income.
life, how he understood
yes.
life.
But my
Yeah.
mom was always, even at a very young age, my mom was like, you need to do entertainment.
Yeah.
Like, even though she never mentioned radio, but she always said drama and arts.
Yeah.
And I remember when we were in grade 10, where we picking our careers and she was like, you need to go study drama and arts because I see that's
We are
the
born
person
at that.
that you are.
Yeah.
Well, while my dad was like, nah, man,
Yeah.
yazin. Apply man. So told him you know, but I understood where my dad
100%.
was coming from.
Yeah.
So but now they understand.
Yeah.
Now they understand the person that I
Yeah.
am. And they're the very first people who joined my life. I think it brought me to tears to find out that my dad downloaded TikTok just so he can, you know.
Might as well for the
Watch-
big lady mid-morning sessions live.
I tell you,
And
you
it's
know.
beautiful.
So
man.
that's
Yeah.
really amazing. And I was having a conversation with him the other day, and he said, "I think I finally got to understand the type of person you are, and
Yeah.
I just want to support you in everything that you do."
Yeah.
And siyahlala Khwezi, and we want to always hear parents say we are proud of you.
Yeah, man.
And
And I was gonna get to that, Uti. I was one of those people. Like I've achieved quite a lot.
Yeah.
Like as a child, as a middle age, what, as
Yeah.
a grown up and
Yeah.
whatnot. And it's one thing that we always like yearn for.
Yeah.
Ukuzoza like umzali wakho
Yeah.
saying that they are proud of you. It does something to you.
it does,
Yeah.
but you must understand ukuthi that's our expectation.
Yeah, ne?
So sometimes thina sibulawa expectation yethu. It's not like they don't see it,
Yeah.
they do see it.
And
It's
they are
just that-
proud.
yeah, but proud. It's just
Yeah.
that you know,
Yeah.
it's rare when you find parents who say I love you, I'm so proud of
Yeah.
you. But you know, when they say it differently, you must
Yeah.
always, you know, listen to what they don't say,
Yeah,
rather,
ne?
because we're always expecting them to say they're proud.
Yeah.
But for me to hear my dad say, I finally understand ukuthi umuntu onjani and
Aish.
I'm supporting this thing, that was enough.
Yeah.
That was enough for me to
Because
wake
now
up.
obviously it took him a while.
Yeah,
to,
did.
to say,
Awu, umntanami mina wayangafuni ukuyosebenza njengezinye ingane
Yeah.
afuna ukuyomemeza eradweni. I mean,
Yeah, because
know?
it takes quite a bit like to like follow through on your dreams, and I'm one to know as well. Like if you're just gonna do something that is out of the norm, when I'm referring to like within your family, I'm talking about even distant family.
Yeah.
Like nobody has ever attempted this thing that you're trying to do. You are just left there like basically on your own.
yeah.
And not actually them saying ukuthi sizobona ukuthi uzophumelela na.
Uzophumelela,
But
you
you
know?
can tell ukuthi they're not understanding ukuthi like wena
It was with my family, it was different.
Yeah.
And enjoying Ishuguti, as much as we don't follow in the same footsteps as our parent, but one thing I love about my family, and I'm also blessed, Khwezi, to
Yeah.
have a great relationship with my both maternal and paternal side of the family.
that's very rare. man.
Yeah, it's
That's
very rare. I mean,
yeah.
both my families from my mom and dad side, they get
Yeah.
along, and I think they love me, and I love
Hey,
them.
thina
And I,
abanye kushuyo.
anginayo le nto lekuthiwa mina u-anti wami ngingazwana nawo wonke
Yeah.
umuntu. And since I started my radio career, they've
Yeah.
been the most supportive people, and their support is actually unwavering.
Yeah.
Even with Midmorning Essential, they were like, "Okay, is this what you're doing?" I know,
Yeah.
I do. We here with you. So yeah,
How do you end up with Old Mutual? Were you somewhere before Old Mutual?
yeah.
Because
I
know
was.
you
I
were-
was. Oh, I worked in so
Yeah.
many sectors before Old Mutual was NetBank.
Yeah.
Before NetBank, I used to work at.
Uhlala usemalini.
Well, even imali zenu.
Yeah.
Nozodeposita le mali,
Yeah.
ngazuyithatha phi le mali, you know.
Yeah.
So before even NetBank, I was at Witbank at Anglo. Even
Okay.
before that, I was at Eskom for a good 5 years. So yeah, my
You got a
resume
nice,
is
you got a nice CV,
resume
Baswena.
is this thick, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this thick.
That's dope, man.
But with that, like ngiphelelwa umsebenzi man,
Yeah.
because my contract would end.
Oh.
Nini umsebenzi uphelile.
Usaythi uzimisele
Yeah,
with this
nini
thing. and then-
ngizimisele.
yeah.
Even with Nedbank, my contract ended, and
Yeah.
then by the grace of God, it's just that Old Mutual was down the road, Nedbank, and besengijwayele ukuya laphayana. So I went there, I was like, guys, umsebenzi wami uyaphela, but I know we need a consultant.
Yeah.
And I applied, and then they moved me to Sekunda.
Oh.
But when radio came, it
Yeah.
made me realize that's the reason why it's never worked out in all the other sectors.
Udlula umuntu ice cream la. Uya. Ngiyayizwa le bicycle izikhalisa ama-alarm lapha. But anyway, very interesting, like how when we came to best of sponsorship konje,
Angazi.
and yeah, we actually wanted
And you were, yeah,
sponsorship.
actually you were there.
Yeah,
hey?
I was with my colleague Uneo.
No, yeah, he was doing marketing at
Oh
that time.
yeah,
Yes.
my thing though, Uchi, I know somebody there.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody who's an umpati there.
yeah.
So I was like, no, I see him, and then speak to her. I was at Fufu, the thing lady, Midmorning Essentials. She was there welcoming us. Yeah, I honestly didn't even think much of it. It was like,
Yeah.
it was like a young high and by
Yeah,
thing.
no, you went with you. It was
Yeah.
like when I was at Lomutoze. But one thing I picked up, Uneo actually stood there. Was
Yeah.
Neo was like in awe. It's like,
Yeah.
is this how you speak?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? This is how I
And it was
speak.
a time when we were like still shuffling around
Yes,
and looking
it
for
was during
people. and-
COVID-19
yeah,
at that time,
yeah.
you know. So ngiyanisayinisa ngithatha ama temperature ngifake ne mask.
Yeah.
So what was really what dawned on me is like, how are you even hearing my voice while I'm wearing a mask?
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? Yeah, and I always say radio found me.
Oh, phela
Yeah,
jiki
they
jiki
found
2 weeks
me.
later ngithola sowuhleli lapha bathi welcome. I'm like, how this, I saw his chick was lapha Old Mutual.
Yeah, so I always tell people ukuthi radio found me.
Yeah.
Guys, I was not looking for radio.
Yeah, sometimes
Radio.
we'll be so like
Yeah,
we'll
radio
locate
came.
you. nene.
Abakhwezi bafika emsebenzini, and they were like, okay,
Yeah.
not in that way. But after when you guys left, then
Yeah.
branch manager was a very close friend of mine at that time, was like,
Yeah.
"You are Papa lo," and she's got a great voice.
Yeah,
Mkhasheni.
I guess.
And
Yeah.
when I was like, yeah, no, actually, because I hear the voice, send
Yeah,
a demo.
it's nice.
It took me a week, Khwezi,
Yeah.
to send a demo because I didn't even know what a demo was. But when I eventually did, I remember sending it. It was a Saturday. Neo literally came and picked me up at work and was
Yeah.
like, "Uyafuneka."
And I remember when my co-host for the infotainment drive wasn't around,
Yeah,
and they told you to like,
yeah.
hey, you were terrible.
I know. I was a horrible presenter.
Because,
not just that. Not that was that
Yeah.
was. I had to go through weekend.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Miss Gaps.
Oh yeah, konje waqala leli.
Yeah, I had to go through weekend with Miss Gaps.
And I think one thing that you had going against you, when you hosted with me, I was already on for like 3 or 4 months or something.
No, a month. I think I came a month after. I didn't start in December because I remember joining in Jan.
Yeah. So it's young
Probably
2 months
2
nyana.
months nyana,
So
yeah.
I wasn't seasoned by the kind of new
Khwezi
things.
baba flow.
Yeah, what?
No, it's the heat wave with Khwezi. Like, yeah, I still need to read forward my script.
Yeah.
Okay, 083. Yes, call us. I was a horrible presenter.
No,
Horrible.
but you just caught on fast. I think we all started horribly.
Yeah.
But you just caught on fast.
Yeah.
But how was what was like the most fulfilling thing about that particular part of your journey? Despite all the challenges, like when you look back at it,
When
and
I
you're like,
actually
you know
look-
what, man?
Yeah, no, I think when I look back, starting radio is like literally the highlight of my life.
Yeah.
I came alive, quiz. And you know how they always say, there's that one thing that's missing
Yeah.
in your life? I think that was that one light I needed
Yeah.
in my life. And when I started doing radio, I started doing broadcasting, I fell in love with it, not only realizing that this is my passion, it became healing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It became really so much healing for me
Yeah.
that I just looked
It's
forward.
therapeutic.
Therapeutic.
Yeah.
Like I can't ebalekile empilweni yami.
Yeah.
You know, 3
3
hours.
hours.
3 hours. Like I didn't care what was happening, but
Yeah.
the 3 hours was so fulfilling. And then immediately when I switch on or when I hand over the show to Khwezi,
Yeah.
then ngiyakamba lokuthi hey sana konje kuna petrol.
Yeah.
Man, what am I going to do?
Only then.
Yeah,
like,
only then
everything else
everything comes
to
back.
you.
But
yeah.
the 3 hours very therapeutic, and I
Yeah.
think this is the reason why I stuck with it.
Yeah.
Because I love it so much. And apart from loving it so much, I think it's really something that I really need to do.
Yeah. And what was like the most horrible moments for you? And
With broadcasting,
yeah,
I think the horrible moment for broadcasting is that when you guys look forward to hearing us
Yeah,
on
ne.
air, ne? Like senyazi ukuthi isikhathi manje Khwezi uyangena Fufu uzongena, and at that time
Yeah.
I'm just not okay
Actu-
because we're human,
Yeah,
right? And we go
yeah.
through things, and having to hide whatever I'm going through and try not to show it. is
because you're there
literally-
as a healer, like
it's the
you're there to
most
heal people.
difficult thing you can
Yeah.
ever go through as a presenter, because you're expecting to hear the same old bubbly fufu. And today, I don't feel like even being Fufu the thick lady. And that's the
Yeah.
thing also people don't understand. That Fufu the thick lady is someone else. Unomfundo Zimo is
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
else.
There's
And in ngihlele manje 3 hours, I'm trying to get to Fufu the thick lady in,
Yeah.
and Unomfundo Zimo is just going through it. And
because I remember you go like when you're playing 3 songs, vele thola amehlo amakhulu siwaqobezela lapha uyakhala. And I'm like, hey, kumele ubuyele manje. Okay, that was Julius Santana.
And Cindy would always be like, Fufu, are you sure you're okay? I'm like, yeah, actually, you were crying a minute ago. How
Yeah.
are you cleaning up that link so easily? I'm like, you get
But I
used
feel
to
it also just comes with understanding the responsibility.
Yeah, the
that
responsibility.
You have. And it's also something that also grew on me. Ukuthi, like your voice like carries quite a lot of responsibility when you're on air. Because Masfiga, me, I'm a very outspoken and
Yeah.
yabo ngikhuluma into engithanda
Yeah.
ukuyikhuluma. So when they told me Masfiga lapho ukuthi there's certain things you
You can't say.
Yabo,
Yeah.
and yabo, you'll incite violence and what. I couldn't understand that. But as time went on and you'd say certain things and then unokudibana nomuntu emall and then they would talk to you about it and you're like, okay, so
Yeah.
what I say in that mic actually carries quite a
Yeah,
lot
it
of weight
does.
and it comes with quite a lot of responsibility.
It
I
really
think that's
does.
when you normal uphethwe inkinga zakho uyazitshela nje ukuthi
Yeah,
yazi,
yes, tell us the time, and it's just
Yeah.
3 hours. Like, get over it. Uzokhala kahle,
Yeah.
more puma, you
uzoba
know?
sharp.
Uzoba right.
Yeah.
But nje, right now, do what you have to do. And I think the saddest part, really crazy about broadcasting for me was leaving Radio Lang.
Yeah, ne.
Yeah, it took a lot out of me.
Yeah.
It really took a lot out of me. And apart from everything that happened with Radio Lang, I'm personally just grateful Guti Fufu the Thick Lady was born.
Yeah,
Just
ne.
from that,
Yeah.
you know. And I never only looked at presenting. Like, I got to become an MC. I
Yeah.
got to become a voiceover artist. I was booked for Isa Jakufa, which was like the most important thing that has
Yeah,
ever
yeah.
happened to me. So it was literally sad for me to actually make a decision with Angbuila.
And how was that Mpuke thing?
Yeah.
Is it Mpumalanga?
Mpumalanga
What that
cultural
was?
experience.
Yeah.
That also
It just looked really dope. Like when I see like these little clips in Yana,
it
I'm
was
like,
amazing.
yeah.
And it came at a perfect time in my life where I
Yeah.
was just going through the most, right? Like
Yeah.
understanding ukuthi ngiyaphuma ngiyangena, I'm not doing radio anymore. I've now started Midmorning Essential. I'm not sure where it's going because I don't have all the equipment I need.
yeah,
And when I got a call from a lady who says, Fufu, I got a recommendation from so and so.
yeah.
We need an ambassador.
Man, shout out to people who speak our names
Yeah.
in very important conversations.
And because little-
Singabi noma wona. Like you are
Little
not a
did I know.
broadcaster. They're
And I
looking
want
for
to
a
actually give a
broadcast.
shout out to them. It's
Yeah.
a group called the Pearls of Great Worth.
Yeah.
So ngihlele
Pearls,
Lang,
pearls,
of Great
yeah.
Worth.
I pearls.
Yeah,
Pearls. Yeah.
Well,
We
you
are
can't say
shobela,
pearls.
but pearls.
Stop it. Pearls of Great Worth.
Yeah.
It's led by Sis Ncumisa. Sure. I think she came for an interview.
Okay.
And I'm like, hey, Mama,
Yeah.
I'm an interview. Like, Station Siawa.
Siyaboma.
Dingani.
Siyaboma.
Like, no, I need an interview. I'm like,
Yeah,
wait,
bomb.
like, oh, like ngihleli. So you know that green couch radio, like, I was sitting
What
there.
was with you guys and switching off the lights when we left? Like whenever I'd passed by the mall there, you'd broadcast but the lights are off. Ngathi nizilile or
I
something.
think in a case. There was no electricity. What do you mean?
Okay, but anyway.
Yeah. There was no electricity.
Yeah.
But well, the show
It is
must
what it is.
continue.
Yeah.
So she came there. She's like, I have an event that's happening. I need an interview. And I'm like, hey, Mama, this is the situation of the station right now.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to give you my red cards at this point because it's just a
Yeah.
mess. But I'm an MC. Seeing that you you have an event, can I at least MC your event? Yeah, she's like, no, because, and then she sat down. She's like, what's happening? And she says, you speak like a person who knows exactly what you're talking about, and you've been through the most, and that's the type of person I'm looking for. Never mind being an MC, come be a speaker.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, but again, nonetheless, job, Khwezi. I'm not gonna say.
and I hope you charge it properly this time. Because remember, you would ask me, my Khwezi, overvisa marine now. And I'm like, an X amount of money. It's like, hey, I must be in cover with 3.5. I'm like, you playing, man.
Yeah, well, thanks to Khwezi. And
but thanks to Pearls
of great work.
Yeah.
And then I attended their events. I did their little young interview, Nyana. And because what I love about that organization, it's not just a group of where women come together and they're going to talk about their issues. It's a group of women who open doors for other women, right? And that's how I ended up with Mpumalanga Cultural Experience. There was a lady there who was part of the group, Utobile. She worked from the department. And she was like, I love what you're doing, and we need a person just like you to be an ambassador for Mpumalanga Cultural Experience. And Khwezi, when I got the call, I was driving, I was going to work. They were like, okay, Nomfundo, this is what we need. We need your profile. And we also need your bank statement. This is how much we're going to send you. We need your nail spray tomorrow. I'm like, what is happening? Nail spray.
Let's go to your ancestors showing up right there.
Ayangeni mali. Imoto yama.
Noma enye yadliwa ile mama inas.
Because at that time, angizange ibe nendaba mara yathi mayingena imali ngama.
You're like,
I was like, what is this? Like, this is 4 months' salary in one day.
Literally.
Like, in one day. I know I went to nail sprayed and I wasn't still too sure what I need to do here. And then when I saw Somizi and all these other influencers and, people we see on TV walking in, then I think I wanted to pinch myself. Like,
am I really here?
And then when I saw my name on the screen coming through and saying she is, the Khwezi Bande Mpumalanga ambassador, I still drove back home and I was like, Ma,
That's me.
So it took me a while, but then when we started really doing it, attending all the events, which were absolutely amazing, I think it came at a right time in my life where I just needed to understand this is who I am and this is what I need to continue to do.
What's next for Fufu, I think, lady?
I don't, Khwezi, with everything that happened in 2024, I don't believe in announcing things before they happen. I have a number of things that are happening for me this year. Doors are really opening. Enjoying Midmorning Essential. I didn't even know the kind of impact that it would have. I have 2 events already booked. Where's
my thing? Where's my thing?
I have 2 events. That would be great. So I have 2 events that I'm being booked for the year. And people just want to see more of me. I'm also relocating. I'm excited about that.
Dope stuff.
Relocating, so new province, new vibes, new things.
New people,
new environment. So I'm excited about that. But Nje, what's next for me is, I think 2025 is my year. I'm just putting it out there.
What are the handles for Midmorning Essential?
It's Midmorning Essential.
At the bottom.
Midmorning Essential on TikTok. Guys, follow me, Fufu the Thick Lady on TikTok, right? And then you can also follow the page Midmorning Essential. We're on TikTok weekday, Monday to Friday from 9 to 12. And YouTube is also in the pipeline.
Okay.
So for people who can't catch Midmorning Essential from that time, you can catch up on YouTube. So that's definitely in the pipeline. I'm also in talks with Trex Radio. There's a guy who approached me and said, I'm saying it. That one I'm going to say. So in talks with Trex Radio, there's a guy who spoke to me and said, you know what, there's a whole lot of people who don't have TikTok accounts, but maybe let's get you on a stream. So while you're on your TikTok, people can just stream
same time.
And so you probably could be driving in your car, but you don't want to go straight to TikTok. There's, you get online and you get to listen to the show. So I'm also excited about that as well.
I feel what you just mentioned, DJ, is just an indicator to no matter what stones life throws at you, you are still very much in control who drive your destiny.
Definitely.
Like, be that young, depressed mode, but snap out of it and get to it.
And then Ushu would say you think otherwise of depression. I do too. Like, I just feel like depression was bangela when. Yeah. It happens because that we
Ane.
go through things
Yeah.
in life. But once you start sitting,
Yeah.
then that becomes a problem.
Because even the algorithm, like,
Yeah,
reads and
everything.
it just makes it worse.
Shinja.
Right? Yeah.
It's like when you're in a relationship. I just personally feel like a relationship mean. This is my view and my view because I experienced it. They set you back a bit. They
Yeah.
set me back because I kind of forgot who I was.
you
I
are,
kind of
ne?
forgot what I loved and what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right. And right now that I'm not in a relationship, the sky's the
Yeah.
limit. Like, I'm like, what's
Because at the
next?
time it was important for you to be the person that the other person needs you to be in their own lives.
Yes, so
and-
I kind of forgot. And once you start pouring your cup into another person's cup, your cup is getting
Ish,
empty
man. Escape, man.
in the process.
Escape.
Your cup is getting
Yeah,
empty in the
facts,
process,
facts,
you know.
yeah.
And by the time this person's cup is filled to
Yeah.
capacity,
When now-
you're done.
And then
You're
I
out. Yeah, but
empty.
you're out, you know.
Yeah.
And then you need to go back and refill your cup. So I'm at a
Ane.
point where my cup is filled, and I'm caring about myself right now.
Gwele mfi.
There's a term I learned recently.
Yeah.
I'm lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
Yes, look it up.
What you what?
I'm lactose intolerant.
Uzwile,
Yes.
Yeah. I was
Zero,
in the
zero, zero,
As long
zero.
as it I was in
Zero, zero. I don't take bullshit.
Ane.
Yeah, like if it doesn't make sense to me, if you're
Yeah.
not making sense to me,
Phuma
if you're
kuyo,
not
like.
bringing me joy in my
Yeah.
life, please step
Phuma
aside. Like
kuyo.
I'm on a roll here.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it doesn't resonate with me, please don't bring it to my table.
I'm glad you get who I have always been.
And yes.
And when you've always wanted to
Yeah, it's like no.
swing me the other way.
Khwezi. But
Yeah.
you know, Zulu City bengakamfikeli
Ane.
leso you know,
Yeah.
yeah, because I was in a point where enjoying Ishuguti, I wanted to make this person so much happy.
Yeah.
I forgot. Akangifikeli, but kungifikeli
Yeah.
ukuthi no, actually I'm just as important,
Ane.
and I owe myself the love that I so freely give to
And
others.
emazokule space okuso ila uzolocatwa khona omunye umuntu ongadinge ukuthi umfile up ne uzo-edda nje.
Lalela,
Kulo kwakho.
mangabe uyezwa
Yeah.
akame kancane.
Angaqumbi phansi.
Angaqumbi phansi, please. Ngiyacela. Not this year. Not this year.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
This just has me feeling like this ngakhuluma the whole day.
The whole day.
Because I wrote a lot of notes there to ask you.
And
But
you
I think
didn't
at some
even
point
look at those notes.
I'm like, let's just have this conversation. And it's just beautiful, man. And thank you so much for gracing me with your presence. And getting your blessings as well. I mean, we didn't even get to like the spiritual things and yeah. So there will be young part two
Yeah.
when the
That
time
would
is
be
right.
great. But nje
Yeah.
ngifuna ukusho nje with nje spiritually just kancane.
Yeah.
Your gut feeling ngeke izibhayizisa.
Ane?
Ngeke.
Mawuyizwa ukuthi wrong lento
Your
lena.
gut feeling, if it's not
Yeah.
sitting well with you, iyekele.
And funny enough, I was njengoba ngisho bese ngivalelisa but we starting afresh now. I was telling my other friend ukuthi gut feeling goes back to us being animals. Because at the end of the day, we are animals as human beings. And animals ehlathini they go off ama instincts. Ukuthi kunengozi la, kunamanzi la, kunani la. So thina as human beings we feel like we are far greater than
We're
ilwane,
not.
yabo.
We're
We are
not.
not like in touch nalelo side lethu. No?
Because I'm one person who doesn't read the Bible, and
Yeah.
I'll share that. Ne?
Yeah.
And I'm a spiritual person.
Yeah.
But when God said, "I created in the image of God,"
Yeah.
He created in the image of Yen.
Yeah.
If God was able to command and say, "Let there be light,"
Yeah.
let there be water,
Oh my
umhlaba
God.
awuhlukaniswe. Wena uhlulwa yini ukucommand
What
impilo yakho?
amanzi wayini?
Yeah.
Don't leave that one
Yeah,
out.
well, yeah, which is
Yeah.
loyo. When uhlulwa yini? I think there's one thing I
Yeah.
also learned when I was in a dark space. Ukuthi, commanding your life is just as important. Speak existence, manifest, wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
Instead of saying anginamali, say nginaimali, mali
Yeah.
allocate.
Or ngizovuka ngiyokwenza
And
iplan lokuba
ngizovuka, yeah,
nemali.
and watch
Yeah.
how your life transforms.
Ane?
With the
Just
things
from
that you say.
self-talk nje.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very important. It's very important. Stop dwelling ukuthi hey mina ngisebenzi
Yeah.
angina inizitshele nje ukuthi ngizokwenza and
Kuzohlangana.
kuzokwenzeka.
Yeah. Fufu, thank you so much,
Thank
man.
you so much.
I
This
wish
has
you
been
nothing
great.
but the best.
Thank you.
Yeah, we just hope now you'll watch us grow in leaps and bounds.
Definitely.
And you'll be a friend of the podcast.
Obviously.
We shall be reaching out Vele from time to time to our friend. But shout out to you, man, for gracing us. This is the very first episode I do hope and believe
Really?
people.
So you had me in your first episode?
Yeah, man. Like that was.
No. Never mind. Triple air horn.
That was.
Champagne. Where's the bottle? Supposed to be popping a bottle right now. Oh, this is dope. Really? I mean, I was your first guest.
When we get to 1,000 episodes, we'll call you back to like commemorate.
And I love that you're the first podcast I've done since Midmorning Essential.
Yeah.
And there'll be all these other podcasts that I feel I'm still going to attend, but I love that
Yeah.
it started with you.
Danko. Midmorning Essentials is going to tell you link it in
the name is For the Thick Lady. Tune in Midmorning Essential Monday to Friday from 9 all the way to 12 o'clock on TikTok. Yes.
Guys, media. Nabona nani lighting. Akukho la kumnyamanyana khona what not. Nabo bakhona la at the bottom of your screen. Weddings, baby showers, anything that you'd like to capture njama moments wakho. Khwezi wakamthembu lo, Mr. The Fear of Being Average himself. Ngithi nje kini ayixabene. Till next time.
The journey within. I love it for you. I'm so proud of you. So